What if I told you the most powerful thing you could ever say is nothing at all? We live in a world addicted to noise. Noise in conversations, noise in opinions, noise in emotions. Everyone is speaking. Few are thinking. Even fewer are listening. But what if silence wasn't weakness? What if silence was strength? What if silence was wisdom in disguise? In the ancient halls of Stoic philosophy, silence was never seen as emptiness. It was seen as a force, not the absence of words, but the presence of intention, not the lack of reaction, but the discipline to respond with clarity, not weakness, but inner power under control. Zeno, the founder of Stoicism, once said, "Better to trip with the feet than with the tongue." Think about that for a moment. How many of our greatest regrets in life were things we said too fast, too harshly, too emotionally, too defensively? How many conflicts could have been avoided if we simply chose to be still, to pause, to listen, to breathe? This isn't a call to silence your voice. It's an invitation to elevate it, to make it sacred, to speak only when your words are stronger than your silence. This is the core of Stoic silence. It is not withdrawal. It is mastery. It is not repression. It is self-command. It is not fear. It is focus. Because a person who can stay silent in the storm has already won the battle inside. Today, we'll explore 9 powerful moments in life where silence is not only smarter, but life-changing. Moments when your silence will say more than 1,000 arguments. Moments when choosing not to speak becomes the loudest thing you can do. Through stories, teachings, and ancient wisdom from the Stoics, Marcus Aurelius, Epictetus, Seneca, and more, we'll explore how silence becomes not a void, but a weapon of clarity, a shield of peace, and a mirror of your truest self. So I ask you to pause, take a breath, and ask yourself, what if the power I've been seeking was in the words I didn't say? Let's begin. There's a special kind of storm that comes not from nature, but from people. It's a storm of criticism, sometimes fair, often unfair, and always tempting us to respond. But when you're unfairly criticized, Stoicism doesn't tell you to fight back. It tells you to stand still, to let the insult blow through you, not into you, to let silence do what words never could. Protect your peace. 1. The power of stillness in the face of judgment. Marcus Aurelius, Emperor of Rome, and one of the most respected Stoic philosophers, once wrote, "If someone does wrong, it's because they think it's the right thing to do." He didn't say to correct them. He didn't say to destroy them. He said, understand them. Criticism often comes from fear, insecurity, or projection. It's not always about you. In fact, most of the time, it's never about you. Imagine this. You've poured your heart into a project. You led a team. You did everything right. But your boss snaps at you in front of others, blaming you for a delay caused by someone else. The heat rises in your chest. Your throat tightens. Your first instinct? Defend yourself. Fight back. Prove them wrong. But you stop, you breathe, and you say nothing. Not because you agree, but because you know who you are. Because your value isn't up for debate. Because silence in that moment is not weakness. It's dignity. 2. Reframing the criticism the Stoic way. Marcus Aurelius reminds us, if it is not right, do not do it. If it is not true, do not say it. Let your actions speak. Criticism, especially unfair criticism, is often a test of ego. But Stoicism teaches that your reaction reveals more about you than the words of your critic. What if every unfair attack was simply a mirror, a moment to reflect, not retaliate? Let them shout. Let them twist your name. Let them accuse. You stay grounded. Because no one has ever lost their peace by staying silent. But many have lost their character by reacting too fast. 3. A story of Stoic silence. The teacher who said nothing. There once was a teacher in a small town, loved by her students, respected by her peers, until a rumor spread, a false accusation, baseless, cruel. The town whispered. The parents doubted. Her colleagues grew distant. She was called in, questioned, pushed to defend herself. But she didn't argue. She didn't lash out. She simply said, "Time and truth are friends," and went back to teaching. Weeks passed. The rumors died. The truth surfaced. Her silence, her grace, became her shield. She didn't win the argument. She didn't need to. She won her peace. 4. The practice of detachment. Epictetus said, "We cannot control what others say, only how we respond." Unfair criticism is like a wave. You can't stop it, but you can choose not to drown in it. Practice detachment. See the words for what they are: sounds, opinions, not facts. Ask yourself, is this true? Is this useful? Is this mine to carry? If not, let it go. Let it float past like a leaf on water. 5. When silence becomes strategy. There's a difference between silence as submission and silence as strategy. The Stoics weren't passive. They were precise. They knew when to speak, and when silence would say more. Sometimes your best defense is not a counterattack, but the quiet confidence that you don't need to explain yourself to anyone. Let your character speak. Let your work speak. Let your growth speak. The ones who need to know will know. 6. Practical ways to use Stoic silence when criticized. Let's make it real. Here are some practical ways to use Stoic silence in daily life when facing unfair criticism. Pause before responding. Even just a few seconds can shift your energy from reaction to reflection. Breathe deeply. A deep breath grounds you in the present and keeps you from being pulled into emotional chaos. Use calm eye contact. Let your nonverbal presence show strength. Say less. Observe more. Often, the person criticized reveals more about themselves than you. Redirect the conversation or walk away when needed. Not every attack deserves your attention. 7. The ripple effect of calm. When you choose silence, something incredible happens. You create space. Space for truth. Space for reflection. Space for growth. You lead by example. Others watch you stay calm and start to question their own reactions. You become a mirror for self-control. And slowly, the world around you changes. Because silence is contagious. It slows the storm. It lowers the volume. And it invites peace. 8. Final reflection, the inner victory. So next time you're criticized unfairly, remember, you are not what they say. You are not the storm. You are the calm inside the storm. Let others shout. Let the noise swirl. You stay still. You stay grounded. You stay free. Don't waste time arguing about what a good man should be. Be one. Marcus Aurelius. And sometimes, being one means saying nothing at all. You're at a dinner party. The conversation is warm until someone starts talking loudly about their achievements, their house, their body, their bank account. One by one, the people around you shift focus. Some admire, some nod, some grow silent. You feel a spark, a tightness in your chest. Should I say something too? Should I share my success? Should I prove I'm not behind? But then you pause, and a voice inside you, calm and clear, whispers. You don't need to speak to be seen. 1. The Stoic view, why do we boast? Epictetus said, if someone does better than you in lifting weights, do you get upset? No, because you know it's their training, their focus. Then why get upset when someone boasts about wealth or fame? Boasting is often a symptom of insecurity, of comparison, of someone trying to measure their worth out loud, because they haven't found it within. But for the Stoic, your worth is internal. Your peace doesn't depend on applause. Your power doesn't require a platform. Your greatness doesn't need to be announced. It's lived quietly. 2. Silence as strength in a world of loud achievements. Seneca once said, a great mind is above insult and praise. That includes the need to prove. Boasting often invites a response. A tug of war of who's better, who's richer, who's wiser. But when you stay silent in the face of boasting, you're not losing, you're rising. Because you no longer need to win a game you never agreed to play. 3. A modern tale, the man at the elevator. There was a man who worked quietly in a tall office building. Each morning, he greeted everyone with kindness, carried a worn briefcase, and never spoke about his position. One day, A new employee entered the elevator, dressed sharp, talking loudly on the phone, bragging about his salary, his connections, his importance. The older man smiled. He listened and said nothing. When they reached the top floor, the doors opened, and a quiet man walked into the corner office. He was the CEO. Silence in the face of boasting is not humility, it's certainty. You don't need to prove your worth to anyone who doesn't know how to see it. Let your work talk. Let your presence echo. Let your actions make noise, not your words. 4. Stoic questions to ask yourself when tempted to brag or compete. Before you reply to a boast with one of your own, ask, am I trying to connect or compete? Am I seeking validation or expressing value? Is this for their benefit or my ego's? True confidence whispers. Insecure ego shouts. The Stoic chooses to stand still, not to shrink, but to rise above the noise. 5. What happens when you don't respond to boasting? You create space. Space for others to feel safe. Space for deeper conversation. Space for your own peace. Because boasting isn't just about the speaker. It affects the room, and silence resets the energy. When you don't take the bait, the boasting dies down. You don't reward the game. You don't escalate the performance. You simply return a presence. And in doing so, remind others of what real strength looks like. 6. Practical ways to embrace Stoic silence amid bragging. Acknowledge without feeding it. Smile, nod, or say that's great, without adding your own comparison. Redirect. Shift the conversation to something neutral, useful, or collective. Hold calm eye contact. Present alone can reset the tone of a conversation. Return to values. Remind yourself silently, I value depth, not show. I value truth, not noise. Journal afterward. If the boasting stirred something in you, write about it. Explore the wound. Strengthen the root. 7. The invisible value of the unspoken life. Think of the greatest people you admire, not for their flash, but for their steadiness, their quiet excellence, their calm under pressure, the teacher who inspired hundreds but never sought fame, the father who worked tirelessly but never bragged about the sacrifices, the artist who painted for the love of it, not the gallery, the friend who listened more than they spoke. These are the silent giants, the ones Stoicism points to, the ones who don't need noise because they have depth. 8. Final reflection. Humility over hype. In a world shouting for attention, the silent soul stands out, not because they beg to be seen, but because they don't need to be. They move through life with a quiet clarity, letting their values shine louder than any headline. When you stay silent while others boast, you declare something powerful. I am enough. I don't need to prove. I live it. And as Marcus Aurelius reminds us, the best revenge is not to be like your enemy. In this case, the best response to ego is quiet mastery. Anger comes fast. It burns bright. It demands a reaction. It's the heat in your chest, the pressure in your throat, the thought racing through your mind. I won't let them get away with this. But in that moment, what if you paused? What if you said nothing? Not because you're weak, but because you're strong enough not to be ruled by fire. 1. The Stoic view of anger, a wild beast within. Epictetus once asked, is a man not conquered who cannot control his anger? Stoicism sees anger not as strength, but as a storm, uncontrolled emotion, a beast that drags us away from reason, away from peace. It may feel powerful in the moment, but in truth, it controls you. That's why silence, when you're angry, is not retreat. It's resistance. It's choosing to keep your mind your own. 2. A fire that burns its owner first. Marcus Aurelius asked, how much more grievous are the consequences of anger than the causes of it? A rude driver, a careless comment, a betrayal. The spark is small, but the fire you light in response can burn bridges, damage relationships, and leave scars deeper than the original wound. Think of all the words you said in anger. How many do you regret? And how many were ever truly necessary? Anger wants noise, but healing comes from silence. 3. A story, the email never sent. Imagine this. A man comes home after a long, stressful day. He opens his inbox and finds an email from his colleague, accusing him unfairly of failure, mocking his effort, undermining his work. His heart pounds. His fingers fly. He writes a furious reply. Sharp, clever, devastating. But then, he doesn't send it. He closes a laptop, goes for a walk, sleeps on it. The next day, he reads it again and deletes it. His job remains intact. His peace remains intact. And his future, unburned. For anger is a thief. Silence protects what you value most. Anger robs you of clarity, of connection, of your ability to respond instead of react. But silence is a guardian. It gives you space to breathe, to see clearly, to return to who you want to be. Because sometimes the most powerful response is not a roar, but a breath. 5. Practical Stoic techniques to manage anger with silence. Here are 5 ways Stoics train for these moments. 1. The pause practice. Before reacting, say nothing for 10 seconds. Count your breaths. Let the fire settle. 2. The inner journal. Ask yourself in your mind, what would Marcus Aurelius do? Is this within my control? Will this matter in a day, a year? 3. Walk away with dignity. Leave the room, the app, the argument, not out of defeat, but to protect your state. 4. Wait overnight. Never respond to serious conflict while angry. Time is a powerful filter. It reveals what matters and what doesn't. 5. Transform a flame. Anger is energy. Channel it. Write. Train. Create. Let your silence build something. 6. The example of Nelson Mandela. Mandela spent 27 years in prison, wrongfully, brutally, and yet, when he was released, he didn't respond with rage. He responded with vision, with peace, with wisdom. He used silence to listen. He used calm to heal. And his restraint changed a nation. That's not just strength. That's transcendence. 7. You don't have to fight every battle. Not every offense needs a war. Not every insult needs a reply. The Stoics knew sometimes the wisest thing to do is nothing, because what you protect when you're silent in anger is more than your image. It's your inner empire. 8. Reflection, the gift of choosing silence. What if your silence wasn't suppression, but sovereignty? What if you walked away not because you couldn't fight, but because you were fighting for something deeper? Your dignity, your growth, your power. Because real power is not found in outbursts. It's found in the strength to hold your center. When everything inside you is screaming, that's Stoic silence. That's discipline. That's peace. He who angers you conquers you. Elizabeth Kenny. He who does not respond wins himself back. The Stoic path. There's a kind of battle that doesn't shout. It whispers. In hallways, in inboxes, in rumors. You hear your name spoken, not in truth, but in speculation. You feel the tension shift when you walk into a room. You see the doubt in someone's eyes, not because they know, but because someone said. False accusations are poison, and the instinct is to fight, to argue, to chase down every lie and set the record straight. But the Stoic steps back and asks, what if the truth doesn't need me to defend it, but only to live it? 1. Why rumors hurt so much. Rumors are dangerous not because they're true, but because they threaten your identity. They undermine trust. They cast shadows over years of integrity. They make people question what they used to admire. It's natural to feel the urge to shout, that's not who I am. But Stoicism offers a different path, a higher path, a path where silence becomes a shield, and integrity becomes your only witness. 2. Marcus Aurelius. Don't waste time arguing. Don't waste time arguing what a good man should be. Be one. Marcus Aurelius. This is not passivity. This is focus. The Stoic doesn't chase every rumor. He doesn't answer every whisper. He returns to his duty. He continues his path and trusts that truth, like the sun, needs no defense to rise. 3. The teacher who let time speak. In a small school, A respected teacher was suddenly accused falsely of favoritism and misconduct. There were whispers. Parents pulled their children. Friends grew quiet. The teacher didn't hold a press conference. She didn't post on social media. She didn't lash out in desperation. She taught. She showed up. She let her life speak. And over time, the rumor lost its power. Because when truth walks with consistency, falsehoods fall apart on their own. For the Stoic understanding of reputation, Seneca wrote, "It is not the man who has little, but he who desires more that is poor." In the same way, it's not the man whose name is attacked who is weak, but the one who needs to be believed by everyone to feel secure. Let go of the need to be seen correctly by all. Let go of the hunger to explain yourself to every doubter. Let your character speak louder than your defense. Let your actions expose the lie. 5. When to speak and when to remain silent. Stoicism doesn't mean never responding. It means choosing your response wisely. There are times when silence isn't strength, it's avoidance. But when your words won't change minds, when your innocence is drowned in noise, when your peace matters more than their opinion, then silence becomes sanctuary. Ask, will speaking serve justice or just my pride? Is this a moment to clarify or to demonstrate? Will this response heal or simply stir more dust? 6. Practical ways to handle rumors the Stoic way. Stay calm. The first casualty of a rumor is often your peace. Breathe. Refuse the bait. Live your truth. Double down on your values. Show up. Keep working. Document privately. If needed, keep records. Let facts be your quiet backup, not your loud defense. Avoid gossip chains. Don't feed the machine. Don't defend yourself to those who spread it. Let time work for you. Most lies, over time, reveal themselves by their own inconsistency. 7. A real example, the CEO and the betrayal. A CEO once discovered a false narrative being spread by a former trusted team member, accusing her of unethical decisions. The media buzzed. The board grew tense. She had evidence to disprove it all. But instead of releasing a statement, she sat with her team, shared everything internally, answered questions, but refused to smear the accuser. She said, "I will not let this moment define my name. My name will be made whole by my choices, not by their lies." 2 months later, the truth surfaced. Silence protected her grace, and her company grew stronger for it. 8. Reflection. Who do you answer to? Do you live to be approved by everyone, or to be aligned with your highest self? When false accusations come, and they will, let your life be your answer. Let your results be your voice. Let your consistency be your clarity. Because truth is like a mountain. It may be hidden by clouds for a time, but it doesn't move. It doesn't need to fight the wind. It just stands. He who is wrong has 2 choices: to chase justice in noise or to embody it in silence. The Stoic mind. Let your stillness remind the world that truth, time, and character are always on your side. Loss doesn't knock. It enters without permission. It tears the world you knew apart. Sometimes in a second, sometimes over weeks of quiet decay. It could be the death of someone you loved, the end of a relationship, a dream that dissolved, a chapter that closed. And in those moments, everyone has something to say. It'll be okay. They're in a better place. Time heals everything. But what if, in truth, there are no words? What if the most sacred response to grief is silence? 1. Grief is a sacred space. Stoicism respects its silence. Seneca wrote, "What need is there to weep over parts of life? The whole of it calls for tears." Grief is not weakness. It's the proof of love. It's the echo of connection. It's the soul adjusting to emptiness. And Stoicism does not demand coldness. It demands clarity. It reminds us loss is part of life's design. We don't control when it comes, only how we receive it. Silence gives us room to feel, process, and remember without performance. 2. The healing power of quiet grief. When you lose something or someone, there's a pressure to respond, to be strong, to post about it, to move on. But grief doesn't follow a schedule. It moves like tides. Sometimes it crashes. Sometimes it lingers quietly for years. The Stoic honors this through stillness, through presence, through inner dialogue instead of outward noise. Silence isn't a retreat from grief. It's the space where healing begins. 3. A story. The father who sat with the sunset. There was a man who lost his child. He didn't speak about it for weeks. Friends grew concerned. They called. They messaged. He answered softly, "There's nothing I can say right now that could carry the weight of what I feel." Instead, he watched the sunset every evening, sat on the porch, and wrote in silence. Months later, he returned to life, slower, wiser, more grounded. He said, "Silence didn't erase my grief. It gave it room to breathe. And in that space, I remembered love more than pain." For Stoic acceptance of impermanence, Epictetus taught, never say about anything, "I have lost it," but say, "I have given it back." This doesn't diminish the pain. It reframes the perspective. We don't own life. We borrow it. The people we love, the time we share, the things we hold dear, are all part of a cosmic flow we cannot control. Stoicism invites us not to resist loss, but to recognize its role in the nature of everything. And when we do, our silence becomes not just mourning, but a meditation on the beauty of having loved it all. 5. Practical Stoic practices for navigating grief. Journaling in silence. Write letters to what was lost. Speak to it on paper. Let memory become a bridge. Walking without distraction. Move through nature with no headphones, no calls. Let your breath sink with the earth. Morning reflection. Light a candle. Sit with the emotion. Don't label it. Just let it live. Evening gratitude. Write down 3 small things that remain. Not to forget the loss, but to balance it with what still is. 6. The grief that transforms us. Loss changes you, not into someone broken, but into someone deeper. Think of the oak tree. The more storms it weathers, the deeper its roots go. Your pain becomes wisdom. Your silence becomes strength. And your presence becomes a refuge for others, one day. Because once you've sat in the silence of grief, you no longer fear it. You respect it. 7. What you learn in the quiet. You can survive heartbreak. You can hold sadness without being consumed. You can love without always needing to speak of it. And you can begin again, slowly. Silence teaches you. You are not alone, because in grief's quietest moments, you meet your truest self. 8. Final reflection, the language of loss. Some things cannot be said. They can only be felt, only known in the stillness. So don't rush your healing. Don't explain your pain. Don't pretend to be fine. Sit, breathe, feel it all. Let silence hold you, like a friend who asks nothing except that you be here now. What we once enjoyed and deeply loved, we can never lose. For all that we love deeply becomes a part of us. Helen Keller. Accept everything, even loss, not as punishment, but as life reminding you what it means to truly feel. The Stoic mind. There are moments when logic dies, not because it's wrong, but because it's unwelcome. You speak truth, and it bounces off closed minds. You share reason, and you're met with mockery. You try to explain, but your words are twisted, ignored, or laughed away. In these moments, most people argue harder, raise their voice, double down, but the Stoic smiles quietly and walks away because they understand one of life's hardest lessons. You cannot reason with a wall, and shouting at it only exhausts your soul. 1. The Stoic view on ignorance. Epictetus said, "It is impossible to begin to learn that which one thinks one already knows." Ignorance is not simply the absence of knowledge. It's the illusion of wisdom. It's the ego wrapped in false certainty. And when that kind of person engages you, they're not listening to understand. They're listening to respond, to defend, to win. To argue with them is to step into their storm. But Stoicism teaches us, stay outside the storm. Observe it. Don't become it. 2. A story, the scientist and the court. Galileo stood before the church. His discovery, that the earth revolved around the sun, challenged the beliefs of powerful men. They mocked him, threatened him, silenced him. But Galileo, rather than fight a losing battle with stubborn minds, whispered as he left the courtroom, "And yet it moves." He didn't rage. He didn't scream. He let time be his ally, and history vindicated his silence. This is Stoic strength, the ability to choose clarity over noise, patience over pride. 3. Silence is power, not surrender. Many mistake silence for weakness, but silence, when chosen with intent, is a declaration. It says, "This conversation no longer serves truth. My peace is more valuable than being right. I see what you do not, and I will not waste my voice trying to force it." Silence is not giving up. It is rising above. 4. The cost of arguing with the closed-minded. When you argue with ignorance, you lose more than time. You lose peace. Your emotions become entangled in someone else's illusion. Energy. You fight to be understood by those who never intended to understand. Clarity. You begin to doubt your own calm just to win an unwinnable war. Seneca warns us, the greatest remedy for anger is delay, and the greatest remedy for intellectual arrogance, silence. 5. Practical ways to handle ignorance the Stoic way. Ask yourself first, am I seeking to connect or to conquer? If it's the latter, withdraw. Breathe before speaking. Let one deep breath remind you that not all questions deserve answers. Respond with a question. Sometimes a calm, "Why do you believe that?" disarms better than facts. Excuse yourself mentally. If the conversation becomes hostile, exit inwardly. Protect your mind. Let time answer. Many truths only reveal themselves through consequence. Let life do the teaching. 6. Choosing your audience wisely. Not everyone deserves access to your thoughts. Your voice is sacred. Your words are energy. Don't pour it into vessels that leak understanding. Marcus Aurelius taught. Waste no more time arguing what a good man should be. Be one. Likewise, waste no breath debating what truth is. Live it. Let others observe. Let life unfold. Let their own path reveal what yours already knows. 7. The world of noise. Why silence is a last sanctuary. In today's world, everyone has a voice, but few have something worth saying, and fewer still have the discipline to stay silent, when silence is the wiser path. Social media arguments, pointless online debates, outrage cycles that spin endlessly. What if you simply chose not to engage? Not because you couldn't win, but because you had already won. By not stepping into the arena of ignorance, you preserve your center. You keep your soul clean. You remain untouchable. 8. Reflection. The quiet confidence of wisdom. There's a certain glow about those who don't argue with fools. A kind of gravity. A peace you can feel when you're around them. These are the people who have nothing to prove. Their confidence is quiet. Their wisdom is still. Their presence speaks louder than any rebuttal could. Be one of them. Let your calm be your commentary. Let your silence be your rebuttal. Let your restraint be your revolution. Never wrestle with a pig. You both get dirty, and the pig likes it. George Bernard Shaw. Do not speak unless it improves the silence. Buddhist proverb. Let fools argue. Let the wise listen and build. The Stoic path. There are few moments in life more tempting than the moment someone insults you. An eye roll, a mocking laugh, a comment meant to cut deep, especially in front of others. Your body tenses. Your heart races. Your pride begs for revenge. But the Stoic does not lash out. The Stoic does not stoop to defend every wound. Instead, the Stoic smiles within, because they know something powerful. You only get insulted if you agree. 1. The Stoic lens on insults. Epictetus once said, if someone succeeds in provoking you, realize that your mind is complicit in the provocation. That's hard to hear, but it's also liberating. No one can truly offend you unless your ego grants them access. And when you step back, detach your identity from the words they fling, you realize this. Their insult says more about them than it ever could about you. 2. The instant reaction, a dangerous trap. In a world of instant replies and emotional flare-ups, most people react without thinking. They defend. They retaliate. They match insult with insult. But what if you didn't? What if, in the face of disrespect, you simply paused, not to suppress, but to observe, to ask, why did this trigger me? What part of me feels threatened and why? Does this moment deserve my energy? Often you'll find it doesn't. 3. A story, the monk and the insult. A young monk was once publicly insulted by a man in the village. The monk stood still, listening calmly. He did not respond. Later, another monk asked, "Why did you let him speak to you like that?" He smiled. If someone offers you a gift and you do not take it, to whom does the gift belong? That insult was never received. This is Stoic mastery in its purest form, choosing what enters your heart. 4. 3 ways insults reveal your inner landscape. They expose your attachment to image. If a stranger's words can shake you, perhaps your identity was built too much on how you're seen, not who you are. They highlight your unhealed wounds. Some insults hurt because they touch scars you've never examined. They give you a mirror, not of your flaws, but of your emotional maturity. Ask yourself, what kind of person do I become when I'm insulted? The answer reveals your true self more than any compliment ever could. 5. Marcus Aurelius on dignified restraint. When another blames you or hates you, or people voice similar criticisms, go to their souls, penetrate inside, and see what sort of people they are. You'll realize that there is no need to be racked with anxiety, that they hold any particular opinion about you. Let that sink in. You're not being insulted by an oracle of truth. You're being provoked by someone fighting their own invisible war. And the greatest insult to their insult is to respond with dignity. 6. Practical Stoic responses to insults. Say nothing. The most powerful response to an insult is often silence. Smile knowingly, not mockingly, but with peace, as if to say, I see through this. Thank them. Thank you for sharing your thoughts. It disarms. It confuses. It ends a game. Excuse yourself. You don't have to stay in the arena. Walk away. Transmute it. Use the sting as a signpost. What still needs healing? What can you let go of? 7. When insults come from loved ones, this is where silence becomes more than strength. It becomes wisdom. When a family member lashes out, when a partner throws daggers, when a friend says something cruel, you must balance truth and tenderness. Here, silence doesn't mean avoidance. It means choosing the right moment to speak. From a place of clarity, not pain. Speak only when your words can heal, not harm. Until then, reflect, breathe, honor your own calm. 8. Transformation, from reactivity to mastery. Every insult is a fork in the road. React and become their mirror. Reflect and become your higher self. The Stoic always chooses a second, because they understand you don't defeat insults by fighting them. You defeat them by being unbothered, unshaken, unreachable by petty minds. He who angers you controls you. Unknown, the best revenge is not to be like your enemy. Marcus Aurelius, let them throw words. You throw silence. That echo will teach them more than noise ever could. The Stoic mind. Through these 9 moments, criticism, boasting, anger, grief, rumors, ignorance, insults, injustice, you've seen that silence is not the absence of power. It is the power. It is the space between emotion and action. It is the pause that reveals mastery. It is the echo that lingers longer than any scream. Let the world argue. Let noise consume others. You stay still. You rise in silence. For in silence, you reclaim your strength. And in your strength, you become unshakable.